Cowboys Nation, we need to take a serious look at what is unfolding on the defensive side of the ball, because what we have seen recently is becoming increasingly hard to watch. Sunday Night Football arrived with all the anticipation that surrounds these matchups, yet once again, the Dallas Cowboys fell short, dropping the game 34-26, a result that exposes issues which have been festering all season long. It is painfully evident that under the direction of Matt Eberflus, the defensive unit is struggling to operate at a level that is expected in professional football today. The performance inconsistencies are glaring, from the way players align to the sluggish response to offensive adjustments. Mistakes that should be unthinkable in 2035 continue to appear, reflecting more on coaching decisions than the athletes themselves. Every week, the defense seems to be a step behind, and when flashes of solid play emerge, they are too sporadic to form a reliable foundation that the team can depend on. The absence of a coherent identity makes it difficult to find a sense of stability or confidence in this group. Blitzing is one area that perfectly illustrates the defensive dysfunction. At times, there are early moments where it seems the Cowboys might generate real pressure, yet almost immediately, the strategy is abandoned, as if there is an invisible cap on the number of pressures allowed per game. This inconsistency allows opposing quarterbacks to operate with comfort, knowing the threat will quickly dissipate. Individual players have struggled as well, but those struggles are magnified by coaching decisions regarding personnel deployment and scheme execution. There are repeated instances where players are put in situations where success is nearly impossible, further reinforcing the perception of a defense that is poorly coached. It is not simply about missed tackles or blown coverages. It is about the structural setup of failure. When an opposing quarterback can have career nights regularly, as J.J. McCarthy did recently, it signals a fundamental flaw in preparation and leadership. Career-high performances should be exceptional, not routine occurrences caused by a defense that cannot adapt or respond effectively. This pattern is no anomaly. It is a trend that requires urgent attention and systemic correction. The situation is compounded by the challenges in defensive leadership continuity. The Cowboys have cycled through multiple coordinators in recent years, attempting to find stability, yet stability alone is insufficient when competence is lacking. Continuity without results only prolongs underperformance, leaving players and fans frustrated. Each game where the defense underperforms erodes confidence and creates a cycle in which mistakes compound because coaching adjustments are minimal or ineffective. While players inevitably make errors, the responsibility for organizing, motivating, and adjusting ultimately falls on the defensive coordinator. Observing personnel usage, it becomes clear that decision-making from the coaching staff often defies logic. Some high-profile players remain on the field despite underwhelming performance, while others capable of more consistent play are left sidelined. This mismanagement undermines cohesion and leads to a unit that appears unprepared, disorganized, and consistently overmatched. Looking at the most recent statistics, the inefficiency becomes even more striking. Pressure and blitz numbers highlight how the defense struggles to impact opposing quarterbacks. Against McCarthy, the Cowboys' blitz rate fell sharply after initial attempts, leaving him with freedom to make plays even under occasional pressure. Tactical adjustments rarely translate into tangible results, as dropped blitzes, misalignments, and delayed coverage continuously provide opposing offenses with advantages that accumulate over the course of the game. Players such as Kenneth Murray are frequently caught out of position, not solely due to their own errors, but as a result of flawed guidance and scheme execution from the coaching staff. The decision to persist in placing players in mismatched roles illustrates a broader pattern of questionable judgment, contributing to a defense that looks both poorly prepared and poorly coached. The lack of a coherent game plan or reliable defensive identity means that even the most talented athletes cannot fully compensate for these systemic issues. Over the season, the defensive statistics paint a disheartening picture. Opponents regularly post career or season-best performances against Dallas, highlighting structural weaknesses that are more than isolated events. Points allowed, efficiency metrics, and game outcomes all indicate a defense struggling at its core. While the offense has delivered moments of promise, it is consistently forced to compensate for a defense that cannot hold its own. This recurring underperformance reflects a deeper organizational problem rather than the failings of individual games or players. With only 3 games remaining, the trajectory is clear. Without substantive changes, the Cowboys' defense is set to remain a liability, undermining the team's aspirations to compete at an elite level. The patterns of mismanagement, inconsistent strategy, and ineffective execution are systemic and require immediate attention to prevent further erosion of team performance and morale. Even from a leadership perspective, ambiguity persists. Public statements suggest awareness of the defensive struggles and a willingness to evaluate performance. Yet there is hesitancy to enact decisive changes. Waiting until the season concludes does nothing to solve the underlying deficiencies. A defense that fails to adapt, execute, and improve week after week cannot be saved by mere patience or hope. Players remain trapped in cycles of confusion, misalignment, and inefficiency, and fans witness the repeated errors with growing frustration. Every blown coverage, every missed assignment, and every defensive lapse reinforces the argument for reevaluation and strategic overhaul. The season has made clear the need for more than minor tweaks. What is required is a reevaluation of leadership, schemes, and coaching philosophy to restore credibility and effectiveness to this critical unit. The impact on overall team performance is substantial. A consistently underperforming defense erodes the confidence of the offense and places the entire team at a disadvantage. When the opposition scores freely, it forces risk-taking and leads to turnovers, creating a cycle where mistakes beget mistakes and both sides of the ball suffer. Fans notice the repeated struggles and lose faith in the coaching staff, questioning accountability and competence. Mismanagement in personnel decisions, inadequate blitzing, and a lack of coherent strategy leave the defense not only vulnerable, but predictable. And a predictable defense is one that can be exploited game after game. The Cowboys' defensive woes are not temporary setbacks. They reflect systemic issues that require action now to preserve the team's competitive potential moving forward. Individual player development has also suffered under the current system. Rather than progress, several key players, especially in the secondary, have regressed over the course of the season. Athletes once capable of consistent play now appear hesitant, confused, and increasingly prone to mistakes, signaling failures in coaching, preparation, and in-game adjustments. Football at this level is a game of preparation, and the glaring errors, misalignments, blown coverages, and missed assignments demonstrate a lack of both planning and execution. While perfection is never the expectation, the level of confusion and inefficiency on display falls far below the basic standards required for a team with championship ambitions. The disconnect between talent and results points to a failure of leadership to properly instruct, guide, and develop the defensive roster. The defensive strategy itself is also part of the problem. Blitz packages that could create consistent pressure are executed inconsistently or abandoned after brief attempts, allowing quarterbacks to adjust and exploit weaknesses. This approach gives the illusion of a plan without meaningful results, eroding confidence in both the locker room and the stands. Players like Kenneth Murray, despite their natural skill, are frequently placed in roles that prevent them from maximizing their abilities. Coaching decisions directly influence player success, and when these decisions fail, the consequences are amplified across the entire unit. Mismanagement of personnel, poorly designed schemes, and lack of follow-through have created a defense that is both predictable and inefficient, forcing the team to rely on raw talent that cannot overcome systemic deficiencies alone. Season-long statistics reinforce these concerns. Dallas repeatedly allows career-high performances and season-best outputs against them, signaling that these are not random occurrences but recurring problems. Opposing offenses exploit gaps, mismatches, and predictable tendencies, steadily increasing points allowed and placing the team at risk of some of the worst defensive outputs in franchise history. These are tangible results of structural failures, flawed strategy, inadequate preparation, and poor in-game adjustments. A defense that consistently enables high-scoring games against manageable opponents is not merely unlucky. It is failing fundamentally at every level. Repeated losses in defensive efficiency make a compelling case that change is not optional. It is necessary to restore credibility and competitiveness to this team. From the organizational perspective, the response so far has been inadequate. Leadership statements reflect evaluation without urgency, suggesting a passive approach that delays necessary interventions. Football is a results-driven business, and persistent failure cannot be ignored. Patterns of error are entrenched, and every high-scoring opponent further erodes confidence and morale. The Cowboys' identity, particularly on defense, is being undermined by leadership that has not adapted to the challenges presented by modern offenses. Continuity alone cannot justify inaction when competence is lacking. Immediate and decisive adjustments are required to prevent continued decline and to rebuild a unit capable of protecting the team's aspirations. Continuing the breakdown, Cowboys Nation, it is impossible to overlook how much the defensive struggles are affecting the mental aspect of the team. When players cannot rely on a consistent scheme or coherent coaching, hesitation takes over. Decision-making slows, communication breaks down, and even the most talented athletes are left scrambling to compensate for systemic shortcomings. This environment creates a reactive rather than proactive mindset, where the defense is simply trying to survive instead of dictate the flow of the game. Over the course of the season, this reactive mentality erodes team cohesion, disrupts chemistry, and reduces trust among players. It is not only the responsibility of the athletes to execute. The coaching staff is tasked with providing clarity, direction, and strategic foresight. When those elements are absent, the effects ripple across every facet of the team, and the Cowboys have been living through those consequences repeatedly. The inability to adapt in real time is perhaps the most glaring issue. In every game, the defensive unit encounters moments where adjustments could neutralize key plays or disrupt the offensive rhythm. Yet these opportunities are consistently missed. Misalignments, delayed reads, and confusion over responsibilities make it clear that there is a lack of preparation and in-game intelligence. Opposing quarterbacks notice this immediately, exploiting the smallest lapses with precision. In professional football, marginal differences often determine outcomes, and the Cowboys' defense is losing those marginal battles week after week. The absence of a proactive approach has turned every game into a struggle for survival rather than a display of competitive dominance, leaving fans frustrated and players under immense pressure. Player regression under this system is another alarming trend. Young talent, rookies, and newer additions to the roster have not developed as expected. Instead, they're stagnating or, in some cases, losing ground. Football at this level demands growth, refinement, and adaptability, yet the current system seems to inhibit these qualities. Skills that should be sharpened through practice, film study, and in-game experience are instead dulled by inconsistent coaching and strategic mismanagement. A defense should be a proving ground where talent is honed and athletes are positioned to succeed. Instead, the Cowboys' defense has become a space where errors are amplified, preparation fails to translate into results, and potential is squandered. The cumulative effect of these failures is profound, influencing not only defensive outcomes, but the overall culture and morale of the team. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers around the league have ignited after a surprising turn of events shook the Cowboys locker room. Star player, name withheld, has reportedly decided to part ways with the team, leaving fans and analysts alike scrambling for answers. The move, described by insiders as sudden and unexpected, has sparked a wave of speculation about what could have prompted such a decision. Some suggest contract disputes, others hint at personal reasons, but no official explanation has fully surfaced. Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer offered a candid, almost resigned remark when asked about the situation, telling reporters, "I can't do anything." He wanted to leave. His words, brief and seemingly final, suggest that the decision was entirely on the players' part, leaving the organization with little recourse. Observers note that Schottenheimer's tone carried a mixture of frustration and acceptance, signaling the complicated dynamics behind the scenes. The atmosphere in Dallas is reportedly tense, with teammates reportedly divided between understanding the star's choice and expressing disappointment. Locker room chatter has been described as a mix of confusion, speculation, and concern over how this departure might reshape the team's strategy moving forward. Some fans have taken to social media, weighing in with theories ranging from potential trades to long-term career planning, fueling a digital wildfire of rumors and debate. League insiders are already connecting dots, suggesting that rival teams may see this as an opportunity to swoop in and negotiate for a player whose talents are undeniable. Meanwhile, agents and sports analysts are poring over contract clauses, performance stats, and possible destinations, keeping the rumor mill churning at full speed. Every practice session, every press interaction, now carries a hint of suspense, as the Cowboys attempt to navigate the aftermath of a departure that no one seems to have anticipated. While official statements remain sparse, the story has all the hallmarks of a high-stakes sports drama: a star player exercising autonomy, a coach caught between professionalism and personal disappointment, and a fan base hungry for clarity. Whatever unfolds next, the ripple effects of this exit are sure to resonate far beyond Dallas, keeping the league on edge and leaving speculation swirling like a storm just beyond the horizon. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.